All right, good morning, Alta agents. This is Kevin Lauren. Hope you guys are doing well. Today, we're going to be joined by Lauren Noack, and she's going to be going over Dotloop. She's created a great graphic for us to really help us navigate Dotloop and make sure that we're getting all of our stuff in there and we're being compliant with the DRE. So that'll be a great one for us today. I want to bring Bill Seitz on the line first. Good morning, Bill. How are we doing today?
I'm doing outstanding. Good morning, Kevin.
All right. And do we have our friend Cameron joining us today?
I believe he was slated to jump on, but if not, that's okay. Maybe see if he's there. If not, I can certainly walk through a couple things real quick.
Yeah, perfect. Why don't you let us know what's going on? Any changes in mortgage land? Any updates?
Well, yeah, first I want to thank everybody who was able to join last week. I know we kind of went through a real broad, deeper understanding of banking and especially what we do here at Clearview and how we work with our one of our main partners, United Wholesale. I know once again, it's not the most exciting topic sometimes for realtors, but it's a necessary topic. And I hope that it was able, if you weren't able to get on with us live, that you were able to see the replay and just listen to us talk about everything from wholesale to retail, all the different things that differentiate our process from a retail bank. And that was kind of our hope, in that you guys get a feel for what we do at Clearview and what separates us from other people that are in finance. So that being said, this morning I'll keep it obviously a lot shorter. We got some great content from Lauren, and that's also sometimes not the most appealing thing, how to organize yourself and get your transactions uploaded efficiently. But once again, it's a necessary thing of our business and our world. So real quick, Kev. So I woke up this morning, I got on the CNBC and I was just looking at rates. Last few weeks, they've actually been trending upwards, and it's been a little bit painful. I have a couple of loans that are floating, have not been able to lock them because I have disclosed them at for example, one at 2.875, and now it is wanting to charge me $9,000 for 3%. So it's a little bit ugly right now as far as what we've been used to the last couple months. And it's at least it's trending down. Yesterday, or came down a little bit yesterday. It came down almost 2 basis points this morning, which is not a lot, but when I see the red arrow pointing downwards, that means hopefully we're in for a little bit of a cycle downwards, and we can get a little bit more relief on the interest rate level.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's just, it's what we do. Just watch the markets and watch the headlines and see where the sentiment is in the broader market, which is going to tell us what's going to happen with the mortgage rates.
Yeah, for sure. So appreciate that, Bill.
Yeah, and then one last thing, Kevin.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
The FHFA announced the new conforming loan limits. So I think I'll spend just a few minutes next week on that. They've actually raised the loan limits for basically starting into end of 2021 into 2022. So that will have an impact in the borrower space. So maybe maybe you're out in a county that doesn't have a high balance niche, where it just goes from conforming, straight to jumbo, which can make it harder for qualifying sometimes, or maybe it's interest rate sensitivity. They've raised the conforming loan amounts a fair bit. So that's going to help borrowers, with all this appreciation and all this, these home values going up. This is going to allow borrowers to maybe get into a home without having to do a jumbo loan. So that's pretty neat.
No, that's huge, Bill. So that'll be great to have you guys explain that, and that'll be some good info for us for sure.
Yep.
All right, good. And so today we just wanted to go over, as we do this whole transition into Dotloop from SkySlope, Lauren has been instrumental in helping us out. So we are bringing Lauren Noack on the line, and she's going to give us a little more of a structure on what we can expect from Dotloop when we get our transactions in there, and of course how we ultimately get that CDA that we all need to get paid. So Lauren, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
For sure.
So yeah, I guess jump right into it. Let me share my screen here.
Yeah, so Lauren created a really cool graphic that we'll share with everybody. And it's just a good guide on exactly what you need to do in order to stay compliant. So yeah, thanks, Lauren. Appreciate you putting that
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, definitely. I think as we navigate this transition from SkySlope to Dotloop, there's a ton of training for Dotloop on the technical aspect of the system. But I thought it would be really helpful to have more of a guided process for our systems internally. And so I put together this graphic for right now. This is just for your residential transactions. We're putting together one for leases, commercial, that sort of a thing. So for now, this is residential, but it'll give you kind of a good idea of what to expect. On the first page, there is a table of contents that has the links. So if you don't want to scroll through, it's 11 pages. So if you're just looking for something specific, maybe you don't have a listing, maybe you just have a buyer and you need to open escrow with them on that. So if you click on that, it will jump you to that section in this step-by-step guide. And so I just kind of wanted to go over it to give everybody an idea of what we're looking for, set up those expectations, and then let everybody know sort of the detailed process moving forward for getting your CDA approved and sent to you. And so another thing to keep in mind is that these changes and updates are only going to apply to new loops that you create. If you have existing loops, we can talk about that at the end as far as, that kind of process. But this is going to be moving forward from today. When you create a new loop and apply these templates, these options are going to be available to you for residential transactions. So your first step is going to be, like we've gone over before, creating your loop in Dotloop. And I just have a split screen with the guide and then Dotloop here. And so you can create your loop. And then I just wanted to remind everybody again, we have the different templates. These have different documents, different requirements associated with all of them. So you have your standard sale, whether it's your listing or your buyer to purchase, leases, vacant land, and then your exempt seller, which is typically your probate, your REO, and unless you're absolutely sure, the successor trustee. And again, I say absolutely sure because sometimes people think, oh, it's in a trust and they haven't lived there, they're exempt. And that's not always necessarily true. So if you're going to select exempt seller, make sure that it's true that they are in fact exempt from the TDS requirements, from those additional requirements that are applied to probate and REO sales. So you would select your template.
And real quick, Lauren. So, a lot of times agents are like, well, where's the checklist? I need my checklist of what I got to get done, right? And so the checklist, it comes when you select what kind of transaction is going to be. So kind
exactly.
of, yeah. So, the next kind of thing that comes after, selecting what kind of transaction is, the system's going to produce the checklist for you.
Exactly, right. And so there's different requirements and different document names and things like that based on the type of sale. So we want to make sure that that you have all of the information, that you're set up for success as soon as you get your listing or your signed contract. So when you select your template, it's going to apply internally the document placeholders and checklists for you. Then you would click continue, view your loop. And so now we're into this second section, which is click on view details. And that is up here at the top of your loop. And you click on that. And then this will say in the people section, which is the first section here, to add your seller's contact information. It will default with whomever has the account that you're logged into. So if you are the agent, it will automatically input your information. And then if you're the TC, then you would want to add your agent as well. Make sure that, you know, all parties are included in this section. But you would just add a person, you would add in the seller's full name, and really just their email. Let's see here. And then this says, make sure that you assign their role, because this will help if you have documents that you want to send for signature through Dotloop. It will ask, you would drag and drop a signature and it will say who's supposed to sign this. And if your seller is not assigned the role of seller, then it won't ask them to sign it. So assign your roles, make sure that you do that. You can add their additional information here if you want it, but for our purposes, we just need their basic contact information. If they don't have an email, that's fine, add a phone number. And so you'll add them into there. Now you want to make sure that you click on save, and then you would go back to your loop. And now the next step, these are the following documents that are required on all standard sale listings, and these should be uploaded next. So this is sort of your initial checklist, right? When you're going to take your listings, when you're getting ready to create your loop, these are the documents that are going to be required if you would like to then submit your loop for review. So make sure that you at least have these documents ready to go. You'll see in the checklist here that there are additional documents, modification of terms, that sort of a thing, that don't necessarily apply. But this is a list of what's required.
That's really
so you
helpful.
would go
Appreciate that.
Yeah. And again, as far as the MLS goes, they're not required in Dotloop, like the setting is not required, because we realize it could be either or. And so if your seller has agreed to exclude the listing from the MLS for a certain period of time, we need that document. But then once that time expires and it becomes active, then we also need the MLS active as well. So we do expect one or both of these. But they're not marked as required in order to submit the file for review. So you'll take your documents, you'll upload them, and then you'll click on submit for review, which is here in the top corner. And so when you click on,
it's almost hidden, right? You know, I've had a lot of agents be like, I don't know how to submit the thing for review.
Yes. Yeah. So I made sure to kind of draw the box. It looks like all the other kind of generic links up there. So you want to make sure you select that. And then it'll ask if there's certain required fields in here. It looks like it wants the client's address anyway. And so add that in there. And then it will ask you which folder that you're looking to submit. And this is important because sometimes a lot of people will go through here and check all of these boxes. And you only want to check the box that has the documents that you're submitting. Because otherwise you'll see next, if you don't have the documents, it's going to pop up a notification that says you still need to upload all these documents, and you don't want to have to go through that for all these other boxes. So if you're just submitting your listing, just submit your listing documents. The default will be that it's for listing review, and then you click submit. Now, item number 8 here, if you're missing documents to submit, you'll see this notification pop up listing the documents. You will need to upload them in order to submit the file for review. So once they're uploaded, this year I didn't upload anything, so it lists all of them. You would say, okay, you have to go back, upload the documents you're missing, and then go through the process again to submit the documents. And just to touch base real quick on what the documents are, these first A through F are all bundled together. This is all in the listing agreement. So they should all come together. The other G is, like we said, the exclusion form, whether the SELM CAR form, whether the specific MLS exclusion form, or your MLS active. The tax information, pull it from realist tax data. If you have a property profile from title, that will work as well. The reason for that is to help when we're auditing, confirm that the name that is on the tax information or how they're taken title is the same that the property is listed on. It also gives us confirmed information of the year the property was built, which will let us know additional requirements that might be needed, and the type of property that it is, whether it's single family, condo, that sort of a thing. The MLS, one, we need to confirm that you have that authorized exclusion, or if it's going into MLS right away, we verify that the price that it's put on the MLS for and the commission that is listed on the MLS is the same that is on the listing agreement. If it's not, that will cause us to request a modification of terms so that we know that the seller has signed off on these changes or these modifications. And then the other document is the disclosure information advisory. This is important to get up front because typically once you sign the listing, even before it goes into escrow, you start processing the disclosures, and it's really best practice to have this document signed off by your seller up front. Kind of lets them know the information that they're going to need to provide on the disclosures. So that's what we ask for and a little bit of why. The next item for submitting your listing, once it's submitted, our team will be notified and will review all the documents within 2 business days. If there are items that need to be corrected or things that are missing, you'll receive a notification through Dotloop, and it'll be sent to you via message. So at that time, you'll be able to collect any items that need additional signatures, upload any corrections and that sort of a thing if you choose to. And so that's how you'll be notified for those items.
And one quick question there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a question. So
Sure.
we have a couple of people, or probably quite a few people, like Marcella Cosin, that use a TC, like a separate TC.
Yep.
She uses Anna in the Valencia office. And so
Mm-hmm.
how easy is it for her, for just the TC to be getting those notifications?
Well, the default notification would be on the to the email that's used to log in for the account.
Right.
And I believe you can go into your profile and your account settings, and you can specify notifications and which email the notifications are sent to. So messenger notifications, and then it will tell you like whatever the email address is for that. So if the TC or if the agent is okay with like only having that be their TC's email, then they would just know that they're not going to get those notifications, whatever email is on here.
Got it.
And I believe that's the case. You might want to double check with
Yeah,
Dotloop.
and I'll talk to Marcella about that. And I think that's probably easy to just have Anna, getting all of the emails for her account, because Marcella doesn't want anything to do with it.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So, okay, perfect. So then, whoops, let me see here. I think it takes away my part of my screen. So let me see here.
Right.
Let's see. I just want to go back. Okay. So let's try this again.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to trip you up.
No, that's okay. I didn't realize that it takes away my navigation thing up top, so I couldn't go back or anything like that on my screen.
Right.
So, okay. So ideally, we want this information as soon as you have your signed listing. The sooner the better. Just compliance purposes, brokers need this information. Please upload your listing documents as soon as you have them. Sometimes I've been noticing a lot of agents just kind of upload everything all together at the end, and that makes it really difficult for a faster turnaround time. So the sooner you have it, the better. That way we can get all of these reviewed right up front. You'll know if there's any corrections. You can get missing signatures, things like that, when you're ready to open escrow, and address those items at that time. So now,
yeah, and the compliance team is really scrutinizing all of these things. So we do need to take a little bit of extra time. So, you know, perhaps in the past, this has gone a little bit quicker, but it does need to go this direction and this way to make sure that all of us are in compliance, and, you know, we're making sure that we're doing everything possible to stay in compliance.
exactly. And it's really, it's in everybody's best interest to do this correctly in the beginning, because then it looks doesn't look great when you have to go back to your client towards the end and go, hey, I know we're about to close, but I need you to sign this modification of terms for our listing agreement, or, you know, things like that, that really should have been addressed earlier. One thing too, I'll say on the listing paperwork that I see a lot is that you want to make sure that, aside from seeing a lot of agents forgetting to put start date and expiration date on their listings, or signing their own listing agreements, the other thing is that if the seller is a trust, then you want to make sure that you check the box on the last page of the listing agreement that says that the signers are signing in representative capacity. And so you want to make sure that that's, you know, disclosed and noted up front. Okay, so moving on. So now when you have your new escrow and you're ready to open escrow on your existing listing, you would go into your loop. You would then click on view details. And essentially this would have already been as your active listing. But your next step is to go here and update your loop status, because now it's no longer active. Now you're under contract. And then you want to make sure that you're adding in these additional people that now apply to the transaction. And you would do that the same process as before, adding a person. We need to know just the buyer's name. This helps us in auditing the documents. If maybe a file canceled and it's re-uploaded, now we have a different buyer name. Maybe the buyer, it's the same transaction, but they've switched buyers or added a buyer. We need to know all of this information to allow us to audit the file properly and correctly. Contact information for the buyer's agent. Just logistics, if any issues arise, if there needs to be a broker involved or anything like that, we need their information. Escrow, and then obviously the lender, if there is any. We just need that basic contact information. Again, there are so many roles and different types of people and contacts that you can add to this transaction for your own purposes. Feel free to do so, but these are the minimum contacts that we need. And then the next step is going to be complete all applicable fields. This is really, really important for, again, compliance purposes, and really just to have all the information that we need to be able to help you and service your file properly. So I'm going to skip over this first chunk here of CDA request and just go down here. You want to make sure that anything that applies is filled out. If there's not an HOA, you're obviously not going to include that information, but we need these dates. We need the price information, the year built, the square footage, the date your offer was accepted, the date you're planning on closing. This section, the financials, is really important. Obviously, for CDA purposes, we need to know what the commission split is, the sale price. So if your sale price changes, make sure that this gets updated as well, because this is the information that we will base the CDA request off of. So it's important that we have the right information. If you have a sale price and then a percentage for commission, that's fine. You don't have to have both the percentage and the dollar amount. You just have that option because sometimes there's a flat fee. You know, sometimes you're doing a transaction and it's not a percentage, it's a flat fee. So you can either or. fill in that information. And then also if there's any commission reduction. And so this is important for us, again, CDA, making sure we have those totals correct. Commission reduction is if you're crediting your client any dollar amount, if you're paying for their home warranty, if you're whatever might affect the total dollar amount owed to the broker, we want to know that information here. So just whatever that total dollar amount is and the reason for that reduction. And then again, if there's any referral information, there is a section here to check it off. If there is a referral, we want to make sure that you're uploading into Dotloop the referral fee agreement and then the other office's W-9. We have to have that on the file for tax purposes. So this is just sort of a reminder, since you're in the depths of the fields here, to remember that, oh, we need to upload these, because there is not a specific placeholder for these documents. You'll have to just upload them manually. So these are all the fields that we're asking for. You would go through, fill that out, and then make sure that you select save so that it will save this. If you're up here, you only add this information up at the top and then you navigate away, it's not going to save this. You have to go all the way down here and click save so that all that information is there and complete. Any other questions so far?
I was just going to say, don't type in all that stuff and don't hit save. We've all
I've done
it.
that. It super sucks.
Yeah, it does not feel good.
So there is a save button up at the top, but it's just, if it's better if you just go all the way down, make sure everything's filled out, and save it from there.
Yeah,
and then next, this is as far as the documents go, you want to make sure, now that we're in the offer section, again, there's a lot of documents listed here, but there's only a handful that are required. And so in order to submit your offer for review, these are the documents that we're asking for. Any counter offers, obviously your purchase agreement, these first, B through G are all bundled together. But I do know that when you're on the buyer side, sometimes listing agents don't return documents that don't need seller signatures. So if you won't get the BIA back, or you won't get your agency back, or things like that. So just make sure that we have all of these items, that they're uploaded. Again, the MLS printout. We want to make sure, if this is your listing, we ask for the MLS printout again in this additional status, because if the information on MLS that's in your listing documents is now different on your MLS printout in your later status, again, we need to make sure that there's a modification of terms, that those things are lining up, that we keep everything documented and everything in compliance. And then also the same thing with the tax data. Not so much in this market right now where things are moving really, really quickly, but this is also important to have the tax information when it's a listing and then when it's in escrow, because sometimes things can change. You can make sure that their, title hasn't changed, or, that's really kind of the main one that would be reflected on that. But we've seen it before, and it's always better to have kind of that second set of eyes, just double checking. So keep that in mind. I've seen a lot of agents upload MLS pending and the tax data the same in both sections. So that's just a little bit of reasoning why we ask for them in those specific categories.
Good
and
call.
Then as far as
real quick, we've got a question from Pamela.
Mm-hmm.
She says, how can I upload directly from zip forms?
Upload directly from zip forms. That I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I think the process is you download the forms from zip forms, and then you upload them into this system.
Right. And you have an option as far as submitting documents. You'll see if you hover over this specific placeholder, you can add a file. But if you have, maybe you have these already split up separately, or maybe you have, some referral fee documents or whatever additional, all you have to do is go over here to add document. And when you click on that, you have this option to drop down. And this might help maybe with zip forms. If you can email documents from zip forms, you can click here and you can send the email, or you can email from zip forms into this specific folder. So that might be an option for you. If you click on that, it will give you this email, which is obnoxious, but you can copy that and then just email from zip forms all the documents, and they'll go in to this specific folder.
Well, that's a great call. So try that, Pamela. If you have troubles, just let me know. She says,
Yeah.
got it. Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, again, we want to make this as easy for you guys as possible while still making sure that we provide the best risk management practices. So your most traditional option is to just click the browse button, and it will open up your Finder, and you can put the documents in there. You can drag and drop them into this section if you like. And then templates are just kind of the documents that are available from the office. So if you're looking for like our affiliated disclosure, maybe you don't have a copy of it, you can go to templates. I'm going to do that again because I went a little fast. If you're in a section and you need to add a document, you click on add documents, you go to templates. There's a lot that are in here right now, but you're going to scroll to Alta Realty Group master documents. Click on that. And the only one that's in there right now is the affiliated form. So you can click on that, copy that. And now you'll see it's been uploaded here. It's not signed. So then again, you can go through that process of assigning the signatures and that sort of a thing. But you now have that document just directly in your loop. And from there, you can download it. You can add a signature to send for signatures and that sort of a thing. So
and then
yeah.
also, Joyce Bizarro is reminding us that a lot of agents use Glide in combination with this system, right?
Yes. Yes. So that might be the same thing as zip forms in that sense. So Glide and zip form, I know for the long time, zip form was sort of thought as one and the same as your car forms, but it's actually not. It's sort of a middleman to access the forms created by car. And so Glide is now an alternative to being a database for your car forms. And so that would be kind of similar as far as emailing specific documents. You can download from Glide and drag and drop and that sort of a thing. I don't know off the top of my head if Glide has a sync option to Dotloop. I know the TC transaction management program that we utilize, TC Workflow, and I think their sister program, Open to Close, they have a sync option. So if you input all the information here in Dotloop, you can sync it to that program and it will take all the information and dump it into there. So you don't have to enter it in twice, which is nice. But as far as a link to Glide, I don't know off the top of my head.
Got it.
Okay, yeah. And then the final thing is the pre-approval, pre-qual letter or proof of funds. Really, you should have both. If there's a loan, you should still have both. The contract says either attached with the offer is a pre-approval letter or within 3 days, I think is the default, a letter will be provided. And also that verification of funds for either the full purchase price, if it's an all cash offer, or the deposit, the down payment amount. And so really, even if it's a loan, we should have both pre-approval letter or proof of funds. So, but again, to make it as simple as possible, just to submit this for review would just be either proof of funds if it's all cash or your pre-qual or pre-approval letter. At this time, you can also upload any of your corrected or missing documents from the listing folder section and upload any of those corrections. Again, you can drag and drop to replace a document with one that is a corrected version or something like that. But all of those little aspects are available in Dotloop training, so I won't touch on that too much here. I just wanted to give an overview of the process. So again, your offer documents have been uploaded, and now you want to submit for review again. Same process, submit for review. This time, if you've uploaded any changes or corrections in your listing documents, you would go and select both folders. Again, I don't know why that's out of order, but your offer documents and your listing documents. So now you can submit both. Again, you don't need to click all these other folders because we don't have any of that stuff yet. Then click submit. Same information. If you're missing things, it'll ask you to upload them. You'll submit those for review. So now we're at 2 submissions so far for your file. And then as you go through the transaction, you're going to repeat the process with the disclosure documents. As you get those fully executed, upload those and submit them. Typically, once you have your full contingency removal is sort of the best practice. And then at that point, if you have full contingency removal, I hope you have all your signed disclosures as well. So those can all get uploaded in that section. And then your reports and documents. And so again, another thing to note, when you submit your offer, the same goes for when it's just your buyer. When we go through and do that initial audit, we'll go through the file and see, oh, in the contract, the home warranty is waived. Okay, well, now we'll go here and we'll say the home warranty is an optional field, or it'll say you do need a home warranty. We'll make that required. Or maybe the offer says you have to termite work is part of the contract. Well, now instead of these being optional, we'll go in here and make them required. So as you're going through, this is kind of morphing and changing based on the information that we have. If we get an addendum, that says there's a rent back. Okay, great. Now we're going to go back up here to your offer section and we're going to ask for a copy of the lease after sale or the seller in possession. We're going to make these required. So it's important, again, to do this as soon as possible so that nobody is surprised when they get to the end and it's like, oh, we need all of these other documents now. The sooner we have this information, the better. So then you'll go through and submit your disclosure documents, your report documents. You can submit those individually if you'd like, or you can wait until closer towards the end. It's up to you. This process here goes through if you don't need any of that above information for your listing. This just starts directly at when you have a new buyer. It's the same process that we went through, all of your documents. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Okay. Now, when you're ready for a CDA, here is information to keep in mind. One, the office policy is that there are certain, the majority of the required documents in Dotloop, with the exception of required documents in this closing. Obviously, you're going to need a CDA before you can have a closing statement. So all of these files, the required documents must be uploaded and submitted. So your CDA is going to come towards the end of escrow. So again, don't wait until the very last minute to submit all of this stuff. If you have all of it and then you're not planning to close for a little bit, that's fine. As long as it's all uploaded, we can start the CDA process. So in order to do that, you want to make sure all these documents are uploaded. You'll go back into the view details section on your loop. And then this is the CDA request section, right? All of these other fields should be filled out. But we need this information filled out as well in order to generate an accurate CDA. And over the last couple of weeks, I've really cut my teeth on this process of the information and what needs to be included and kind of how people are operating, what you're used to as far as this goes. So in order to have a quick turnaround time for your CDA requests, this is the information that we would like. Obviously, if you're, it's a single side, a dual agency, just let us know there. Let us know if there's a referral. If you say yes, great. We're going to scroll down and look for all the referral information details. If you say no, that saves everybody time. Are all of your required fields complete? This is just another little nudge or reminder of like, oh, let me go back and make sure. Let me double check that that price is correct. Let me make sure that all the commission and all that information is in there. And then the next section is the agent payee name. So this will be, if you're just an individual agent, just put your name in there. If you want your check made out to your company name, your corporation, your LLC, whatever, put that information in there. This will be the name on the CDA where the check is made out to. Also, let us know the mailing address. We would love for everybody to get their checks all at the same time. So we'll put the mailing address on the CDA of where that check should go to. And then that will be for your commission information. And then there are 2 additional spots for additional payees. And what I mean by that is if you need to pay a stager from your commission, if you need to pay an additional compliance fee or something separate, you can add that information here. It's going to ask for the name. So who do we make that check out to? What is the total? How much are we paying them? And where should we send the check? If you don't have that address, that's fine. That's, where you can put your own address and distribute it however you choose. Those are your options. You have those for 2 additional payees. And then there's one separate for the TC. So if your TC is getting paid through escrow, all of that information, there's a dedicated slot in there because I'm slightly biased. So specific TC information there. So they get their own section.
I love it. Very good.
So now you've input all of that information. This is what we need in order to create your CDA. Again, in the documents section, confirm that all the missing and corrected documents have been uploaded to the applicable folders. And then this is where you're going to go more into the escrow documents section. This is where the finances and the CDA and all that information is going to be uploaded. We save this for last because I know that escrow title differs throughout the state. A lot, sometimes, obviously up north, you're not going to get any escrow instructions until you're closer to the end of closing anyway. So in order to submit this information, we're asking for a copy of the deposit, which hopefully you should have upfront, and a copy of the escrow confirmed contract, which again, hopefully you have that upfront. If you have escrow instructions, just because they're marked optional doesn't really mean that they're optional. If you have them, please upload them. We will need them at some point before the file closes. So please upload that information. And it lays out here what should be uploaded: your deposit receipt, escrow instructions, any amendments, and then a copy of the commission instructions. And so when we're asking for you to just upload the unsigned commission instructions. They don't need a broker signature at this point because we're going to collect that for you with the CDA. So make sure that information is, those documents are uploaded, then go to submit for review. Again, select the escrow documents folder, scroll here. And then you're going to select the CDA review option from the drop-down menu. And you want to make sure this only applies to the escrow folder only. And it's important because we've set up the system so that we get notified when this option is selected on the escrow documents. So if you select your offer documents and you say CDA review, it's not going to notify us properly. So it's important that this process is followed so that we get things done for you in a timely manner. And then obviously, if there are any other additional documents that you've had corrections or uploaded, select whatever those folders are too. Again, if you don't have things to upload or that need a second set of eyes or an additional review, don't select the folder. So you'll submit for CDA review. Go through that whole process, the same as others. If you're missing something, it will notify you. When requesting a CDA, be sure that all applicable fields are filled out and the file documents are complete, with the exception of items in the closing folder. So we kind of already went over that. If your CDA is approved, meaning if the documents you've submitted look great, there's no drastic changes like, oh, you submitted this file, but you're missing statutory disclosures, or, oh, if it's something where it's like, hey, we need a date on this one, the statewide or something like that. We're not going to decline a CDA based on something like that. This is really to make sure that we have as much in compliance as possible. So we're not trying to be nitpicky. If your CDA is approved, we'll generate a CDA based on the information you've entered into the Dotloop fields. The CDA will then be uploaded into Dotloop in the escrow documents folder. Then we will send the CDA and the commission to be signed by the broker. all within Dotloop. And so then once the broker has signed, now in Dotloop already uploaded are copies of the signed commission and the signed CDA. Whomever's email is associated with the account will be notified. I also try and make sure when I am sending these documents out or sharing them, as Dotloop calls them, that if there is a TC listed or an admin, I'll select their email as well so that they're also notified. But then you'll be notified through Dotloop email that the documents have been signed. You can go in here and upload them. You can select them and email to escrow if you'd like. And so they're already in there. It's all set and done. If your CDA is declined, then the commission instructions that you've uploaded will mark those as returned. And so you'll need to go through the process to make any of those changes, uploads, adjustments, and repeat the process to resubmit for that CDA request. So you'll upload the corrected documents, resubmit the folder. Please allow up to 48 hours to process your CDA request. I don't imagine if you have everything, if we've already reviewed this file at least 2, hopefully 3 times, it should be a really quick process. If most of the documents are in here and approved, if all of your fields are filled out and complete, it will not take 48 hours. But we're human, life happens. So please allow up to that amount of time. We will always try and get it turned around as fast as possible.
Right, that's the big takeaway there. We do our best, but
yes.
we've got to be able to quote, and that's for us and for you. We want you to be able to predict how all this is going to go down. So that's a big part of that. Allowing up to 48 hours, of course.
Right. And then things happen in the transaction. CDAs need to be changed sometimes. That's fine. If you need to request a CDA change or a correction, in this escrow documents section, we ask that you upload the documents that apply to that correction. If you've gone through this whole process and you have most of the file is up and complete and approved, and then there's a last minute price change, maybe there's a last minute rent back, maybe you forgot about a referral and you got to throw that in. Maybe your TC fee wasn't put on the CDA. Whatever it is that is causing that change, we ask that you upload it into the escrow documents section. Don't worry about okay, now I got to find where's that field. Doesn't matter. Just dump it in the escrow documents section, whatever applies to that change. Then you're going to want to go. This is where we've kind of hodgepodge this process a little bit. You'll go to the notes icon in the top right corner of your loop, and that's this little guy up here. You'll click on that, and this just sends messages back and forth. So it will list all of the people you've added. And so you would just click on my name or the compliance name to send a message. Hey, I need a CDA revision. Please add whatever that note is, then hit that send button and it will notify us of what those specific changes are. And then you'll want to submit for review this folder. And same thing. So you'll change that review from the drop down. You'll ask for that here. So you'll have your CDA review request again. And then again, that will notify us throughout the system that there's been a request, and we'll have those information. We can make that quick tweak. We'll do the same thing again. We'll upload the revised version of the CDA, send it for signature. And so you'll be up to date on the process all along the way. You'll be able to see, oh, the CDA has been created, but it hasn't been signed yet. So we're just waiting for that. And you'll be aware of that process kind of start to finish. And then finally, if you have any specific questions, we have a email directly to us for compliance questions, auditing questions. If you want to reach out outside of the system, questions for Bill, and then questions for Dotloop, you can click there and it will take you to that website. So I think that's kind of it. It will be very similar process for your leases and your commercial and that sort of a thing. I just wanted to be able to provide accurate photos of what that will look like. So, but the process is still going to be the same as far as requesting CDAs and changes and that sort of a thing.
No, this is a really nice comprehensive overview of that. And I know, Bill, any takeaways or anything you'd like to add as well?
Yeah. First, I want to thank you, Lauren, for putting together just such a really well organized presentation. This is something that's so important in our industry. And I just want to remind everybody, not to be the stern jerk of the company, but we all have a responsibility to do this stuff. And we're operating with licenses, your own license, you're operating with a company license, and you need to protect your clients at every turn. And for anybody who's been in this business longer than a few years knows how much has changed with disclosures and forms and requirements due to legal issues, being sued. Brokerages have even more, liability and even licensees. So we all have a responsibility to learn how to be a good agent, compliant agent. And, as we're growing, we've really overhauled this process. And you can tell that, adding Lauren is such a valuable asset to the company and for you. And I know, once again, it's not something that everybody likes to maybe make this the best part of their business, but everyone likes to get the big $15,000 check. That's one of the best things about closing real estate is getting paid. But along with that comes all this responsibility. So if you're using a TC or you're doing it yourself, or hopefully you're using Lauren's services, because a lot of this stuff will go away if you use TC Advantage. They do an amazing job. They're highly organized, and you can trust them to have this stuff buttoned up for you. So you can go out and sell more real estate or have more time doing what you would rather be doing than searching for your listing agreement that was signed 3 months ago and you can't find it. And so it's really important that we take this seriously, and that it's something that if we're not really good at paperwork, hire her team. They will do an amazing job, and they'll make sure that you get paid at closing. Once again, I also want to add that the CDA process is not, to get paid through a CDA is not a right. It's not like, oh, no matter what, I get to get paid from escrow. It's for doing a good job and for being compliant and allowing Lauren's team to come in and sign off everything. There's nothing worse for us or for her to have an agent that is closing tomorrow and where's my CDA? One, that's pretty rude. And number two, we have to have these things in place and give her ample time. She's going to do her best to get that out to you. She says she's not, as she said, she's not going to nitpick over a date or something, but this stuff has to be done, and it's got to be done, with ample time to let her and her team sign off on it. And it can work this can be as hard or as easy as you want to make it. So if you are using TC outside of our team or our recommendation, it is your responsibility to make sure your TC is up to speed with our processes and procedures, because or they should be on this training, or you should send this training out to them later today or tomorrow. Make sure that they take an hour to listen to this presentation, because we don't want to every week have to remind everybody when the information is here, it's for you. We have it on a recording. It's archived. We're gonna say, hey, did you listen to our presentation? So that's about all I want to say. Oh, also, Lauren is certified car forms advisor. She's also licensed. What better way to have somebody on your team that is certified with all these forms? You obviously can hear how much she knows about the contract, dates being signed, timelines, seller buyer obligations. So once again, an amazing asset, an amazing resource for our company and for you guys when you're doing your real estate transactions. And I just want to make sure that, Lauren, that they know where to find you. If we could pull up your website again, or your homepage.
Yeah. So the TC company is the tcadvantage.com. And this is where you can find our information about our services and what all is included. We have a pricing and services guide that is also available on the website that kind of goes into detail of, what's included in our services, our pricing, and all of that information. So, and then we also utilize intake forms. So if you have a new listing or a new escrow, agents just submit that to us 24/7. You can submit this at any point once you've been onboarded with us, and it makes it really easy for us, for your TC to kind of hit the ground running with all the information we need to get going. The other thing too that I want to also touch on, which I've been trying to preach as much as possible, everybody's world is going to be turned upside down in December with this new contract, and there are going to be, it's a crazy amount of changes. And so it's important that, one, you guys are up to date on this information and know what those changes are, but it's going to be a different layout and navigating that. And there's going to be, there might be fields missed, or there might be additional information required. The contract is changing, but so are the 76 additional documents associated with the contract. There are also going to be 5 documents that their names are changing. So the lead-based paint disclosure, they're changing the name of that. So you're going to start seeing references for different documents flying around. You're going to start to see they're including 5 new forms. And it's a lot. So if you haven't already scheduled training through CAR, please, please, please do so. There's also in zip forms, you can see a copy of the new contract. I'm sorry, on car.org, not zip forms. See, I'm also guilty. They are not one and the same. I do that all the time. So in car.org, in the transaction center, your standard forms, form revisions, and you'll see here. So these are the documents that are going to be released this month. But then also this is a draft of the purchase agreement. And you can see this is page 1. So it's going to be completely different. And so if you are not familiar with it, just get familiar with it. I know December seems like a far off time, but it'll be here before you know it. And then you're going to be sitting in front of your client wondering which way is up. So
Lauren, thank you for bringing that up, because that was coming across my mind the last couple of weeks. And this is something that's, this is going to turn the industry upside down. And don't be the last minute agent to start looking at this. Start familiarizing yourself with this thing. We will have Lauren come on and we'll discuss this as a brokerage. But don't, you're going to need to look at this thing multiple times, and your TCs are going to have to learn this. And it's not going to be over. You're not going to be like, oh, I just learned this contract in one overnight sitting. It's not going to work that way. This is such a massive thing for our industry that take it seriously. That's really my best advice, is take this really seriously, because as Lauren just said, you're going to find yourself wanting to list the house, or you're going to have to write up an offer. You're going to want to get this offer in by Sunday night. It's, and you don't know what the hell to do, and who are you going to get a hold of on Sunday morning.
Right.
Yep. And even just the defaults in the contract, one of the main things, the loan contingency is going back down to 17 days, and all the contingency timeframes. And so it's not just where do I put the information, it's what the information is. They've flipped some things that where one thing was default one way, and now they flipped it so it's default the other way, which again is all in an effort to make things easier, but you have to be aware of that, because if you're used to, oh, that's right, it's always default this amount or in this term, it might not be anymore. So CAR has a lot of training courses. I'm sure we'll put together, I'll come on some other webinars too and just kind of highlight some of those key points, but it'll tell you right here how to sign up for your training, and please do it.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll put that training link in the replay so everybody has it.
Yeah. So other than that,
just, you know, a light meeting today, right?
yeah. There will be a
Alright.
test later, so no pressure, you know.
Exactly, right? No, really, really good stuff, Lauren. We really appreciate it. And we obviously appreciate all of our agents coming on and learning about this stuff and, you know, furthering their careers. So really good stuff, guys. In that case, Lauren, thanks again for being on the webinar. And we, of course, will have you come back.
Hold on, Kevin, hold on a second.
Sure.
Stephanie just asked how can she get a hold of Lauren? We just put that up there, but maybe Kevin, you can
Well, yeah, Bill, easiest thing is first of all of Lauren's contact information is in the webinar, the invite to the webinar, and it'll also be on the replay. Okay, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So Stephanie, and I'll even message you, Stephanie, directly. So
yeah, and just to be clear, guys, Lauren has her own company, TC Advantage, and she also is our formal Alta Realty Group compliance officer. This is her department. She is the top dog, and we've been working with her for several months now, organizing this and getting it to a place where we can be an efficient company. And so that's her title. She's you know, a very important, obviously, position in the company. So just understand that you know, she does two things. One, she runs her own TC company, and number two, she is our compliance officer. I just want to make that clear.
absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thanks for being on the webinar. And next week, we'll be going through kind of some high level marketing stuff that the marketing team here at ARG has been working on. So excited to be unveiling a few really cool stuff. So we'll see you guys next week on the webinar. Get out there and make it a great week and a productive week. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.